What's up, St. Louis? Jamal Mayers here. Want a chance to watch the Blues like an insider with me? When you become an annual STL Sports Central insider, you're automatically entered to win. We're picking 2 winners, each bringing a guest to join me in the Blues Alumni Suite for the game versus the Edmonton Oilers on Friday, March 13th. That's right, Connor McDavid. We'll have free drinks, heavy appetizers, and an unforgettable night of Blues hockey. Sign up now at STL Sports Central, and I'll see you at the game.
Hey, it's the Randy Karraker Show on STL Sports Central. Matthew and Randy with you. Sorry we're late. I was doing my weekly segment with the great Bernie Miklas on the Randy Karraker Show. That'll drop tomorrow. And Bernie and I got going about the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And so we extended to that program a little bit. By the way, to see the entire Randy and Bernie podcast, you can subscribe to our Insiders Club. Become an STL Sports Central Insider. And you can watch all of Bernie and I. You can read all of his great work. Monthly giveaways. Jammer just told you about the monthly giveaway that's going to include going to a Blues game in the alumni box with him with
heavy appetizers.
There you go.
My favorite kind of appetizers.
Yeah, those are the best appetizers. Like that's going to be like a 16-ounce ribeye that you eat with your fingers. It just
that's $180 at the Super Bowl.
Yeah, right. Yeah. We're going to be carnivores at this game, and we'd love to have you join us and get ad-free reading experiences at stlsportscentral.com. Great to have you with us, and let's start with this. Jordan Binnington with a shutout. Binner.
There we go.
He's
How about
back,
that?
baby.
How about Binner?
Yeah.
Congratulations to Binner.
Yeah. Canada wins
Big game.
5-0 over Czechia.
Big game Binner doing what he always does.
Well, not according to Dom Lucian at The Athletic. Dom thinks it's a national crime for Canada to have started Binnington in this game. Now, Dom, we know, doesn't like the Blues, and he does like his numbers, but sometimes in sports, there are more than numbers. Sometimes in sports, you actually have to play the game, and that's what Jordan
Sometimes?
did. Sometimes, yep.
Okay. I think you usually have to play the game. In the end, High Definition says, how about that Binner shutout? It's amazing how a goalie looks when he has I'm going to edit this for you, competent defense playing in front of him.
Yeah.
Very different.
Great shutdown defenseman in Colton Parayko, by the way.
Yeah. Team USA in action right now, and the St. Louis kids, Brady and Matthew connected for the first goal of the USA hockey team in this Olympics. Pretty special. They've also had a couple goals pulled back from some very timely reviews by the Latvian bench. Some people are already crediting the Latvian assistant coach video coach for calling for the reviews. Yeah, goalie interference that's pissed off a lot of people. But yeah, there's a little bit of hockey being played. Finally, took it long enough in the Olympics.
Yeah, no doubt. Joe Roderick is going to join us momentarily from Jupiter's Joe with us.
Oh, he's good to go. Yes, we're going to go to Jupiter right now.
Our buddy Joe Roderick from Sports Central 365 is going to join us and talk a little bit about what's going on with pitchers and catchers. And let's start with this. First of all, Joe, everything looks great down there. Why are you not out in the sun, though?
I don't think, Joe, we cannot hear you. Are you muted, Joe? I didn't mute you, Joe.
No, so I'm unmuted.
There you go. Now we can hear you.
I didn't think I was muted. I'm not in the sun, Randy, because Rocky told me he wanted me on with you.
Well, you can do a show from poolside.
What are you talking about? The internet works outside, Joe. What are you talking about?
I don't know. I thought it'd be nice to be in Claibs' office here and doing the hit, but I will be heading outside as soon as we are done here. Already have some workout shorts on. Just need to change the shirt. I went presentable up top for you guys out here, but I got the whole weekend. I'm here till Tuesday, giving reports for you guys. Pitchers and catchers are here. Have seen very little hitters so far. I keep going into the new walking by the new batting cages they have up here, and I'll peek in. Like, you can see it. Like, it's not like they don't want you to see it. Like, they have the the shade or whatever low enough because they don't want the sun to get in, but it feels weird. It feels wrong because, like, you'll have to crouch down and you'll be peeking in to see like who's hitting in the cage right now. Oh, that's Masyn Winn. So that part's been a little odd. But overall, Randy, when's the last time you were down here in Jupiter?
It was the pandemic year, 2020.
Okay. you would not recognize this place. I
Really?
know that's what everybody has been saying. It is unbelievable, the upgrades, the new construction, and everything they have built up here. Just to the complex right behind the outfield wall, like right where the locker room is, everything.
Mhm.
It is incredible to see everything that they have put into it, and cannot imagine the amount of money that they've put into it, and seeing the workers still in there today doing what they're doing, just getting everything up to up and running right now. It's an incredible sight.
And the Cardinals wanted to do this a long time ago, and actually they were talking about it that spring during the pandemic, and they were able to get the government on board, but the Marlins didn't want to participate to this level, and that's why it's taken so long, because it kind of took the Marlins a little bit of time to get up to speed with what the rest of baseball was doing.
Shocking.
What's funny though is I noticed this when we were driving back from the facility today. The Marlins, when you go by their side of the facility, they have this enormous like hedge wall up by their facility with an enormous Miami Marlins logo on it that the Cardinals do not have on their side. So like they have this huge big hedge of signage on their end that's not there on the other side. So to hear that they were the ones that didn't want to put the money in, they sure made you know that they sure letting you know which side's theirs.
Yeah. Hey, let's talk about what's going on with Ivan Herrera.
So I mean, Ivan Herrera, as you know, is telling people that he's 100%. The Cardinals are saying, no, he's not 100% yet, but we really like what we're seeing out of him. And it was brought up today. I asked Time Bloom, like, hey, do you like what you've seen so far? Because they have shied away. If you ask them, like, hey, what do you think of left field? They're like, those guys haven't reported yet. But you know what? Pitchers and catchers are here, so they can't shy away from that. It's like, what have you guys seen? And they like what they've seen. They said that his hitting was sidetracked a little bit because obviously, you can't swing a bat when you've had elbow surgery, and it's caused him to pause a little. And that then brought up the WBC conversation of, if he's not 100%, like, are you going to let him play? And when we talked to Heim, we talked to Heim around noon Eastern today, and he said it should play out. We're trying to work through it. We should have the answer in a couple days. And maybe 30 minutes after he was done talking, he comes out on Instagram and he posts like, hey, I'm not going to play. The insurance isn't going to be able to cover it. So Ivan Herrera, I know, was so excited to play. He was so excited to represent Panama and play. And, kind of, I was hoping that it would be this kind of launching pad for him. Like, Panama's not going to make it out of the first round. They're not going to make it out of pool play with who they're up against in the WBC. But I was really hoping that you would get 3 or 4 just moonshots from Ivan Herrera, to where the rest of baseball and everybody else watching would look at it and go, God, who the hell's this kid? Like, who's he play for? Oh, he's the starting catcher for the Cardinals. Like, I need to go check him out. So it's one of those where you hope, and I don't think the WBC, I'm not sure if they've come out with what the next year is that they're planning on doing this. Like, if they've come out and said it's going to be 3 years, 4 years, they're just kind of winging it, I think, here and there. Ivan Herrera is young enough. He should get another opportunity to represent his country. But when he was going to be like the centerpiece of that team, that had to really just suck for him to accept it and have to put a post out there saying, yeah, it's not happening this year.
And the reason for the lack of insurance, if you're a player that had surgery at the end of the season, this is why Lindor was not provided insurance either. Or if you were on the 60-day IL last year, then the insurance doesn't cover you. That being said, guys, and I'm not one, as you guys know, to spend the DeWitt's money, but he's not making a lot, and the Cardinals don't have a ton of expectations of winning this year, and the odds of getting hurt in the WBC are really limited anyway. I wonder what would happen if the Cardinals would just say, you know what, go, and if something happens, we'll make you whole. We want you to go because you're excited, and we think this experience would be good for you. Go and play for Panama, and then come back. I don't know if teams are even allowed to do that, but if they are, I wish the Cardinals would do that for Herrera.
They have come out and said, I mean, for other teams, like with the Astros, I know, like, I don't know if the Astros, are they sending anybody really down to the WBC? I know they denied insurance on a few players. already that we're going to go. But I think it is kind of, okay, yeah, you can go play at your own risk. And yeah, Herrera's not making a whole lot. But one of the things that Ollie talked about this morning when it was brought up, I kind of said to him, like, 3 years ago, they had more players than anybody in baseball. This year, they have no starting pitchers and outside of Herrera, they had no other position players or starters going there. And he's like, yeah, it makes it a lot easier. A few years ago, like Wilson Contreras wanted to play and he signed with us. That was right when he signed. And it was important to him to stick around and learn the pitchers. Well, then it doesn't help when 2 of those 5 pitchers say, hey, we're going to go pitch for Team USA. And then he doesn't get to work with them
Right.
at all there. So I think the Cardinals probably have maybe said to him, like, hey, Ivan, like, you want to catch, like, you want to be the starting catcher on this team. Okay, like, you need to probably stay here and work on that, because it was already said ahead of time that if he did go and play for Panama, it was just going to DH. He was not going to catch. He was just going to DH for them. So maybe, hey, stay here that week instead and continue to, work and improve your game behind the plate.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I would have really liked that. I mean, I understand why they want him to play WBC, why he wanted to your point, he's going to be the star of the team. But when we look at everything and in the way that Ali Marmol is talking about how they can really take advantage of this season, push the limits, we're going to talk about that in a little bit. A great piece from Derek Gould on STL today. Him being able to improve defensively as a catcher and then becoming a weapon as a piece of the lineup from that position, freeing up the DH spot, freeing up first base and those kind of things to give them lineup flexibility. It's so important to not just this season, but the future of the Cardinals. And so, yeah, it's a bummer for him, but I guess it could be, a good thing in the long run.
Well, it's at the end of the day, if Panama's not going to win, huge picture, no, I just think it'd be cool for the kid. What else were those guys? Obviously, we don't have an awful lot of players participating in the WBC. So what else is going on down there? Liberatore threw a bullpen?
Liberatore threw not just a bullpen. Liberatore threw live batting practice today. He was the first one on the list to throw live batting practice. That'll start to ramp up a little more when they have guys down here that can hit and take live batting practice. So they had Bernal catching him today in the live BP because Pages and Crooks were the ones hitting against him. So it was only catchers available for that. But Liberatore was there, the entire pitching staff, and I mean every single guy from number 1 to number 94 in the Cardinal locker room was sitting in that dugout watching Matthew Liberatore throw. And from everything that we have kind of been talking about here, hearing from Ollie, Libby's the guy. He is going to be the guy this year. And with all of the departures, all of the trades, and with everything he did last year, the ace of the staff. I mean, right now, hey, if you want it, you have to go out there and earn it. Like it is there for the taking. Go show them that you went from being the 4 or the 5 last year to being the number 1 this year. And by all accounts, he's been doing the right things for that. He's put the work in, from what Ollie said, over the offseason to make himself better. He is developing a new pitch. He's working on a splitter. Now he showed us that grip to me and Klebs today. And Klebs said that he saw him throw it. I think he said twice is what he clocked as him throwing it in the live batting practice today, both on 2 strike counts. So he's going to try to get some guys out with that's going to be his new out pitch, I guess. And we'll see. We'll see if it makes it to major league games. We'll it's all fun to throw in bullpens and throw against a few of your battery mates in middle of February. But we'll see how long it takes. We'll see if it makes it into April.
We were just talking about the potential ceiling of some of these pitchers, especially guys like McGreevy and Liberatore. When you hear those adjustments being made, and to Joe's point, if it can make it to April and May, does that change your view of a Matthew Liberatore going forward?
No. I think that he's always had the physical ability to be a front of the rotation guy. And I think for him, it was just a matter of everything clicking mentally. And I think it clicked in last year. And sometimes, especially with left-handers, it takes a while for that light bulb to go on above his head, and I just think it did. He's a smart guy, and I think it was just a matter with him of it clicking, and I think it has. I have complete faith. I guess I'm like Ali Marmol in that I have faith in him being nominally the front of the rotation guy for this year's Cardinals. I don't think that for a playoff team he's a number one.
But even so, like we were talking yesterday about him being, a plus 3, 4, 5 on a playoff team. Do you think if he can make these adjustments consistently over the next couple of years, do we think we're talking about a solid 2 as his ceiling?
I think so. Yeah, I think
it would be it's he's one of those guys that's young enough right now. He was drafted out of high school in 2018. So what does that make him? Was he 26 right now? I think when you look at just how young he is, and you say if you're going to sit there and you're going to say, hey, 28's the year, if he can make that jump, if he can make that leap next year. And you see that, think of the money that you can maybe save a little bit if he is your ace, and you go out there and maybe you just spend money on a great number 2 and he becomes that, or McGreevy too. I mean, you're going to see a full season of Michael McGreevy with a big league club, not having to take the Memphis shuttle, not having to go down, back up and back down, and not having to worry about Eric Fetty getting starts that belong to Michael McGreevy. So, him as a number 2, and then you kind of see, again, I haven't seen Dustin May pitch. I think he threw a bullpen maybe on Tuesday. I wasn't down here yet for that. But we'll see where Dustin May fits into that. You have a good 1, 2, 3 where, you sit here and you say, 66 wins or whatever Pacoda said that it was going to be. That's 3/5 of your lineup there. 60% of your rotation aren't bums, like they're guys that have shown the last year or two, or shown in their career that they're established starting pitchers in Major League Baseball, and should be, I think everyone in baseball knows the name Dustin May. And I think so. That's not one that should come and surprise you. And I think if you see the potential of these other 2 guys, they're off to a good start. Not to mention, by the way, Liam Doyle threw today. Unfortunately, none of us got to see it because he was throwing a bullpen the same time Chaim Bloom was talking, and they were at 2 very different ends of the complex.
Oh, you can't tell me that wasn't planned. You can't tell me that wasn't planned. Oh, dastardly.
Yeah.
Dastardly.
Yeah. So, we were not able to divide and conquer on that. So hopefully he throws another day while I'm still here, because I would love to see Liam Doyle pitch. Also, he's not in the big league clubhouse. Like, he's not in there, so I don't even have a chance to really talk to him or find out about it. That's a conversation I do want to have, because he's the pitching ninja psycho of the year. Like, I want to have a conversation with Liam Doyle and find out what that kid's all about.
You know who I'm intrigued by, and I mentioned this with Bernie, and we're going to talk about this with Bernie in our little piece that'll drop tomorrow morning. But I wonder, and you can ask Bloom or Ollie about this, I wonder about Tink Hence. I wonder what they think of him now, what the plan is for Hence. Remember a couple of years ago, he had a game, and he was a starter, obviously. He had 13 Ks and has good stuff. He's just never been healthy. I wonder what the current expectation for the Cardinals of Tink Hence is.
You say that, it's crazy that is not. I've seen him, like, he's in the big league clubhouse. He's in there. Yeah. It's not a name that's been brought up. Like, when Ollie was going through the list of pitchers yesterday, and I know, like, Bloom today mentioned the elbow or the shoulder cleanup for Zach Thompson. Like, you're going through all these names of pitchers, and you're getting 9-10 deep on this, and Tink Hence's name is not mentioned at all. Like, it's just the injuries last year were such a setback, I think, in his development, that it's going to be a big show me camp for him to put himself back on that map. And you have that for a few guys, because we could sit here and we can talk about how great it was last year that they had no injuries to the pitching staff in the major league level, but they did have a handful of them at the minor league level. Like, there were guys that are being developed that had setbacks last year. That's we'll see where they fall into place now.
Joe's got places to go, but before he does, our director of content here at STL Sports Central, no better person to have on while we talk about the 1 year anniversary, 5 days away. A little idea that Joe Roderick and some people around St. Louis had a little over a year ago has almost hit the 1 year anniversary coming up on February 17th. And we have ways for you guys to win some Cardinals, Blues, Mizzou tickets, and also really the big prize, the autographed merchandise, courtesy of our friend Joe Yancey and Fanfare Collectibles. Winners will be announced on February 17th. You have 5 more days to enter. You can enter on Instagram, Facebook, and X. It's going on all across those ones. You can just email stlscgiveaway@gmail.com a screenshot of you being subscribed, whether it's on YouTube, Instagram, or make sure you're subscribed on YouTube, I should say, and then you got to go on Instagram, Facebook, or X, repost a story, and tag a friend as well. That's your way to enter. 3 ways to enter, and you're winning cards, Blues, Mizzou tickets, and potentially some autographed merchandise as well.
And by the way, if you're on each of those platforms, Instagram, Facebook, and X, sign up at all of them, and that will improve your chances to win.
There it is, Joe. Thank you so much for joining us. Have some more fun down in Jupiter.
Absolutely, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joseph. Is the Crab House still open, by the way?
I'm not familiar with the Crab House. We went
right
to
there on the water on A1A. It was a really good seafood place. So
we did leftovers last night. We went to Leftovers Cafe last night. So that's
okay. Klebs knows every
place.
Yeah.
Where do you get 10 nice fritters?
10 nice size fritters.
10 nice size fritters.
Yeah, I believe that was the Juneau Beach House, maybe.
Okay.
I think, yeah. Maybe I have to stop by there.
Well, get some fritters, Joe. Have some fun.
Thanks, guys.
Talk to you later.
Thanks, Joe. See you later. Have a good weekend. That's Joe Roderick from down in Jupiter, STL Sports Central, down there covering the Cardinals. And it's interesting when you look at what the Cardinals have with the addition of Weatherholt, Masyn Winn, Jordan Walker, if he ever winds up performing, is a really athletic big man. Victor Scott, we know, has athletic ability. Even Newt has a little bit of athletic ability. Gorman, not so much. Burleson can steal a base for you. I'll be interested to see how this year, with the new regime, the Cardinals try to utilize their athleticism. And the reason that I'm interested is because, and I think we've mentioned this before on the show, the teams that are really analytically inclined seem to be leaning towards utilizing their athleticism for a force of good. When you look at Tampa Bay is always playing the margins. They're looking for advantages. They're looking for inefficiencies. Well, Tampa Bay last year led all teams in stolen bases by a pretty substantial margin. They had 194. The Brewers were second with 164. The Brewers are another team. Craig Counsell with the Cubs, they were third in stolen bases. Seattle, not really an analytics team, but they stole 161. So smart teams that are finding ways to win, maybe because they aren't as proficient in other areas, i.e. hitting home runs, are finding ways to score runs. And a lot of that has to do with the running game and utilizing their athleticism to its highest level.
And one of the notes in Derek Gould's excellent piece on STLtoday.com that you should check out, where Ali Marmol talks about this team pushing the limits and how they can take advantage of that athleticism. He says they want a team that they can coach him up in a way that feels comfortable taking more risks. There's a big gap between what Masyn Winn is today and what he can be, and he's going to close that gap pretty quickly, in my opinion. I'm pumped about Jordan Walker. He knows what's at stake, and man, he's working really hard at it. They also noted his ability to steal bases. I was a little surprised about that being something that they're working on with Walker. We know he's a superior athlete, but I guess you just expected every piece of content from the Cardinals to come out to be talking about him actually hitting the ball, not what he does once he actually hits the ball. But to your point, pushing the limits, everyone's going to be running. A healthy Masyn Winn. We talk about Victor Scott. Jordan Walker apparently is going to steal some bases as well.
Why not?
And so hopefully this team does find ways to take advantage of their athleticism. It's at least a good line to come out of spring training with. It's kind of like the coaching version of, I've never been, healthy, best shape of my life kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's very kind of rainbow and sunshine, very positive. But, I like that they're at least having a plan and a goal to maybe shoot the moon a little bit as a way to kind of win on the margins if they can't find the power or if they can't, find the overall bats.
And if you're going to have the kind of athleticism that they have, well, why not use it? What's the point of having Victor Scott on your team if you're not going to have him run? Because at the end of the day, he's not going to be a guy that hits 35 home runs for you, right?
He's working on bunts, lefty. I mean, he's locked in on that game. And Ali Marmol talked about it well in that piece about how, this you can't really – you got to start at the basics. That's what Tony LaRusse always talked about.
Yep.
But I think more than LaRusse's teams, he's acknowledging that work from the basics to your finishing point is going to go a lot longer into the season than it was when Tony La Russa was the coach or the manager. And so they're acknowledging that it is going to be a longer road. And that's the thing we keep talking about. The team has a plan. They're trying to make the best use of their roster, which is all you can really ask a manager or a coach to do. And they're coming at it, again, with a cohesive plan that is adaptable to things that could potentially change. If Jordan Walker starts hitting, well, then you want to be able to take advantage of athleticism by having him part of the coaching that you have right now in base running and things like that. So some people might think it's a waste. I think it's a team preparing for all inevitabilities, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think that if you have those kinds of people, why not maximize all the talent that you have, right? Especially if they still are of the belief that Jordan Walker is not going to be a home run hitter. Well, if he's not going to be a home run hitter, and so you've got these tools: hit for power, run, field, throw, and he's getting better as a fielder. He can throw a little bit. If he's not hitting for power, let him hit and let him run. Let him use the tools that he has and utilize that toolbox and see what he can come up with and what he can be as a player. And maybe he just winds up being a line drive doubles hitter, and that's what you get out of him. Maybe that's the case. Maybe he turns into more of a power hitter. Maybe he grows up and turns into a power hitter. I'm interested to see what he can do if they just let him be him.
An interesting question here that I'm now looking for the answer from Fly Navy 73. I'm searching for the answer. According to analytics, what is the percentage of base stealing needs to achieve to be considered successful? That's a very interesting question. You usually see something between about 75% is usually what I see when people talk about it.
Between 75 and 80.
That's kind of the rule of thumb. But I wonder if it's actually at that, and I'm taking a look really quickly at a Fangraphs article kind of roughly from 2011, and it appears that in all situations around 73 to 75% is where it starts becoming a potentially positive move to be a base stealer. Anything below that, and you're talking negative value, anything above that, you're talking about positive value.
Yeah, and one of the things in baseball that bothers me is that sometimes teams go overboard treating those 27 outs like it's a piece of gold. Sometimes the best thing to do is to risk that out, and maybe you'll get thrown out, but maybe you'll steal the base and get a runner into scoring position. And rather than having to hit the ball over the fence for a run, you can just have a little looper that goes to right field and score a run.
See, Randy's doing like stock market baseball because he's those 27 outs are your currency, and Randy's going to risk some of them in the market, and he might benefit off them. It might bite him in the ass, and he might have a little bit of a recession.
Well, it could happen.
Stock market baseball, I like it,
but
that's how capitalism wins, baby.
I am willing to roll the dice.
It's America.
Yeah. By the way, last year, the Mets led all of baseball. They were 88.4% in stealing bases.
Yeah, I would argue that
Cubs were 81.2. Tampa Bay was 80.2. They were seventh in baseball.
Yeah,
and the Cardinals did not do particularly well. The Cardinals were 76.7%.
Wow, I think that tells me that even if a team last year like the Cardinals had 76.7, either they were being very choosy or were correct, and the landscape of baseball right now is ripe for somebody in a team to zag and steal the living daylights out of every possible bag. Because if a team with a fairly mediocre with a fairly okay, one or two good speed guys, but one of them was hurt last year. He can rack up 76%. And if we're talking about a 75+% stealing rate being plus value, let's call it 80%. And that tells me that everything we're saying about there being a starting gun a little bit with the pitch clock, the way that the rules about throwing over, the talent level of pure arm and ability to throw and catch out runners at second base, where that's all at in baseball, the league is ripe for a team to run somebody into the ground. Just run a season into the absolute ground. Have an absolute blast. I don't care. You don't need AstroTurf to do it. Absolutely go buck wild, stealing bags. The landscape's there. I'm with you, Randy. Well, I'm a full convert now.
And as with apologies to Rick Pitino, Yadier Molina's not walking through that door.
Damn right.
How many teams are really set up to defend the run in 2025, 2026? How many teams do a great job and are throwing out more than 25, 28% of the runners? Not many of them are doing that. So that's another reason, especially with the rules changes, because there's less space, less distance now between first and second or second and third base. And the pitcher can only throw over twice. Take advantage of those rules. And yeah, I think that utilizing what baseball is giving you just makes sense. If you want to play on the margins, it's the old thing. Take what they give you, right?
Yeah, I mean I'm always.
Okay. I want to see if anybody disagrees.
I'm also wondering how many teams are actually like that low when it comes to throwing out base runners.
Let's see.
That's the big thing now. I'm kind of wondering. So let me see here. And also, I like this comment here. If you're going at 88%, you're not running enough. To your point on that one, the stolen base opportunities for the Mets, who had 88%, they did have the fourth highest amount. How many stolen bases did they have? They had where are the Mets here? Fourth most stolen bases. I mean, I feel like it's a pretty good percentage there for the Mets there. They know that. I think they just had a pretty damn good team right there. 147 stolen bases, 18 caught stealing. Highest stolen base counts in the league were the Rays with 194. Now that's showing me the Rays having an 80% with 194 stolen bases. That's real added value to what they're doing. I don't know if the Mets, they probably could have run more, but they definitely didn't run a small amount with how successful they were.
Yeah. So let's do this. I am going to update. So this is a minimum of 50 stolen base attempts for catchers. And the caught stealing percentage leader was Patrick Bailey of the Giants at 31%.
Okay. It's pretty good.
Detroit, Dylan Dingler was at 30. Carlos Narvaez of Boston was at 29. William Contreras at 28. Real Muto was at 28. But now you get down, Pais was at 27. Murphy was at 27. Keibert Ruiz was at 26. There are some teams out there that are really not very good at it, though. Will Smith, 24%. Jose Trevino at 21%. Joey Bart of the Pirates at 20%. So
for a little piece of just context, Yadier Molina's career is 40.3.
And Yadi was a unicorn, different than anybody else. And people quit trying to run against him.
So 31% in today's league is pretty damn good.
Yeah, really good. But that means he's also allowing 69% of stolen base attempts to be successful. And one thing that we saw with the Cardinals back in the 80s is the more you try it, the more it wears down a team and it gets in a pitcher's head, and it does have an effect on the way you are defensive. By the way, just looking in our division, in the NL Central, as we mentioned, you've got Contreras. He was at 28%. Going all scrolling. Joey Bart was at 20. Looking for a red leg here. Here's a red. Jose Trevino at 21%. And then was there a Cub that was throwing anybody? Oh yeah, Carson Kelly, our buddy, at 27%. So
if only he could have had somebody really nurture his ability to throw out runners. Fly Navy 73 says take out Scott's number and the rest of the team was 70.5%. Winn is especially bad base stealer, which runs counter to his skill set. Again, he was hurt last year. I don't think we can actually garner
what he was
really
a year.
Yeah, no, was it a bad back?
Yeah, you know how long he had that?
About a week back.
Yeah.
I just don't know if we can really judge anything because, some people are going to say, well, him being injured doesn't affect his awareness. It does affect how much, biting off more than you can chew, which I think can also look like bad awareness when he's trying to turn the corner on something or trying to make a move and his body just doesn't react the way he thinks it's going to. I think sometimes that can look like bad awareness. With the way that the Cardinals are talking about him, I don't think he's actually going to be a bad base runner once his body's actually able to react the way he expects it to. Everyone's talking about him being his speed and how he can use it this year. I will legitimately be shocked, and I will have to eat crow if he's bad on the bases this season.
And let's remember this. Let me get the exact numbers here. Kind of like everybody else that was in the Cardinal system up until last year, he probably was not taught how to steal bases properly
because it was just
they didn't have a minor league base running instructor.
Oh, that too.
Which kind of has an effect on people's abilities. And some guys can teach themselves how to do it, but I really think that one of the problems the Cardinals had over the years, we talked about not having a catching instructor and how that could have affected a guy like Herrera. Not having an outfield instructor certainly affected a guy like Jordan Walker. I think not having a base running instructor, when you have a guy that has the skill set of Masyn Winn, I think that affects his abilities as a base runner. If you look at what he did in the minors, 2021, 19 years old, 2 teams, stole 32, thrown out 5 times. 2022, 2 teams, stole 43, thrown out 5 times. So maybe it does go back to.
You're not going to catch me being negative about Masyn Winn in 2026 unless I'm given a whole hell of a lot of reasons to be. I said it earlier this week. He's the jersey you should buy right now. He almost had a perfect season defensively at shortstop. He's going to get the bat figured out. We're going to get at least 103 OPS plus season, which isn't great, but it's above average. That's all you really need from him. He's going to be better on the base paths. I'm thinking 35 plus steals for him. It's all roses for Masyn Winn this season.
Well,
you can't convince me he does anything wrong.
Let me give you one other point about Masyn Winn, and this goes back to the philosophy, I believe, of the previous front office. In his rookie year, 2024, he was on base 157 times via hit, and will take out the home runs, and he hit 15 home runs. So 142 times via hit, plus 41 times with a walk. So that's 183 times that he was on base. Let me take out triples too. So he was on base 178 times with an opportunity to steal a base. He tried 11. That's inexcusable.
He was hurt.
Well, and I think they discouraged him. I think organizationally, they discouraged the stolen base because they were so hung up on the analytics of not wanting to give up an out that they just didn't want anybody to run it, because all of them were in the bottom of baseball in terms of stolen bases. And I think that is what I perceive as a problem that won't exist anymore.
Yeah, they're going to push the limits, and I like that. And part of that, I think, is also just having a more athletic team. I think part of it is that Ali Marmol, and we've talked about this before, it's a rebuild at the GM level, but you don't expect the coach or the players to ever think that. So Ali Marmol is waking up every day and thinking, how do I win baseball games on June 14th? Watch that be an off day. How do I win baseball games each and every day? And his mind is maybe to kind of take down some of those barricades that might have been put up around how to manage this team and how to go through everyday things, take down some of those walls, take down some of those restrictions, and play free. And in both actuality and kind of perception, that's what they're going to do. Let the athleticism go, and hopefully, like things we just talked about earlier at the very beginning of the show, hopefully things like having your second or first best hitter be coming out of the catcher spot, which opens up Burleson to play first base and a DH spot for extra hitting. Maybe that allows you to actually open things up and have a plus lineup this year.
Yeah. I'm loving you guys, by the way. I love the fact that Harry says, can't teach speed. You cannot. And also, speed does not go into a slump. Are you aware of this?
You'll have to explain that one to me.
You don't, like, you can go into a slump and stop hitting the ball, but if you can run, you can run. And so you take advantage of that. Was by the way, I like you, Mama. Randy Nuts of Steel Karraker.
Interesting one. All righty then.
So one time, I was doing, this is way back in 2002.
I don't know how this is reminding you of a previous story, but
this is a great one.
Trudge forward anyhow. I'm terrified right now.
Matthew, kind of like you, I was emotionally invested in the St. Louis Rams when they were here. So I was, I did a show with Isaac Bruce.
God, we're dumb.
Was doing a TV show on Charter with Isaac. And I would have Coach Martz on like once a month. And one time the Rams lost a bad game, 2002. And they started off 0-5. And so I went on with Marty Kilcoyne on the Two Fox right after a game, bad loss, and said something to the effect of, if this continues, the Rams are going to have to take a look at their coaching situation. Didn't say he should be fired. I just said, if this continues, they're going to have to take a look at the coaching situation. So
what else could you possibly have meant?
I'm waiting for Coach to come in to do the interview. And finally he walks in, he's like 5 minutes. Hey, Coach, how you doing? He says, you got some balls of steel. And I said, what? And he said, I can't believe that you would blanking want to do an interview with me after you said I should be fired. And I said, I didn't say you should be fired. I said exactly what I said. I said, if this continues, they're going to have to take a look at the coaching situation. I said, I didn't bring up the head coach. I said, the coaching situation in general. And oh, by the way, a couple of weeks later, he did fire his defensive coordinator during the bye week. So he yells at me for like 2 minutes, just and that's what I remember. You got balls of steel to want to interview me after you said I should be fired. I said, I didn't. So he leaves, steam coming out of his ears.
God.
And so we're just sitting there, twiddling our. Well, I wonder if he's coming back. About 5 minutes later, he came back in. Was like nothing ever happened. It was unbelievable. Comes in, said, "Hey, how you doing?" We do the interview. It was like nothing. It was like Costanza going back to work the next day. It was like nothing ever happened. It was unbelievable.
Shock you never worked in the NFL again.
I love Coach. He's great.
I love Mike Martz, but
yeah. Well, and you know what? It was. I see. That's one of the problems with media is like friends and family hear what they want to hear, and so if you don't hear what was actually said, then you might think that it was something that it wasn't. And it was really an innocuous comment.
I like to think he went back and got like a text from his defensive coordinator that was really stupid. And he was like, oh, he's right. I am going to have to rethink this stuff. Yeah, I'm going to have to fire that idiot. Yeah. All right.
Remember?
Let's go. Sorry, Randy. You're right. You were 100% right.
Do you remember him bringing in Bud Carson in 2002?
I had not locked in 2002.
2000 is when he brought in Bud Carson.
I did not lock in. I was not that locked in yet as a child.
He did make a coach during the bye week. Anyway, so I wondered if our person here was actually Mike Martz that was calling me
Enrico Palazzo. I'm disappointed there wasn't a woman in that story. I'm relieved. Craig Lewis said Mike Martz was a great offensive coordinator. He did suck balls of steel as a head coach. Jesus. I really appreciate the chat sometimes.
Yeah. Can I give you another Mike Martz quick stat?
Always.
Okay, so Mike Martz became the head coach of the St. Louis Rams in 2000. 2000, 01, 02, 03, 04, part of 05, 5.5 years. Then he got sick. And for the rest of the Rams' time here, the rest of 05, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So he was the head coach for 5.5 years. After he was the head coach, that was 10.5 years. In his 5.5 years, including postseason games, the Rams won 56 games, 5.5 years. In the time after he was the head coach, in 10.5 years, the Rams won 56 games. So he was better than anybody else they had, which I guess isn't saying much.
I grew up on the south side of St. Louis. Like I could have just been a diehard baseball fan. I could have been a huge soccer fan from a childhood. Mm-hmm. I never had to actually like football. I never had to pay attention to football, Randy. Yeah. Instead, I'm a moron. By the way, one last thing here on the Cardinals. Ali Marmol wants me to push the limits. I love the sentiment. I'm vibing with it. At the same time, seeing that this team wants to push the limits and then seeing the projected opening day lineup, It does fall a little wah because it's hard when there's just so many question marks in the lineup, and there's still some question marks in the rotation as well. To think, yeah, this is a squad that's really I'm gonna watch push the limits of baseball, and it's more about pushing the limits of their athleticism and what they can do. It is a very lofty phrase, and then I look at the projected lineup and I'm like, well, maybe, or it could just be an absolute train wreck.
Yeah, well, this is not like the 85 team, because the 85 team, people didn't know how good Jack Clark was, and you had Ozzie and you had Hurry. You had people that have been there before and have won. And that team, by the way, was picked to finish last because Suter was gone. They had lost him in free agency. This team is just a huge question mark. And I can tell you this for certain about this team. These guys haven't been through it in September. When it really matters, you need guys, and hopefully they'll, at some point, whether it's 26 or 28, I don't think we'll have a 27, but hopefully these young guys will get an opportunity to go through a pennant race and learn what it's about to have to play a sport that is much more intense and more difficult to play in, because there is focus on every single play. Mm-hmm. You make an error in the third inning of a game in June, you lose a game, everybody comes back into the clubhouse, we'll get them tomorrow. It's September 15th, and there's 14 games left in the season, and you're down 3 in the standings, and you make an error in the third inning and you lose the game. That's a different animal altogether. You can't make those errors in September that you can make in June.
Just your cadence and setup there reminded me only of the you drop one fly ball in the World Series, and all of a sudden you're a bad
defensive liability. Yeah.
Oh God, Chris Duncan was the absolute best. Bill Reloaded not too happy. He's going for 57 wins as opposed to Skyboy's 75. I will say one thing I'm actually excited about for this season that I'm confident of is, unlike the last 2 seasons, Cardinals baseball will not get demonstrably less fun the first week of August this year. In fact, it might get more fun for the first time in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
That we actually get more fun and interesting baseball late in the season because of all the young people, potentially guys like Liam Doyle coming up later on in the season, maybe even a Quinn Matthews at some point. Like, this is the first time I think I might enjoy watching the Cardinals in August as much or more as I did in watching them in May. And that has not been true the last 2 years. In fact, it's been a direct polar, unfortunate, unwatchable opposite. Yeah. And that's one thing that's going to be nice. It's not going to be meaningful August or September baseball, but at least it's going to be watchable.
But it can mean
August and September
mean
baseball.
Something for the next year.
That too.
Because you're finding out about players. I would be shocked, and I'm not guaranteeing anything, but in regards to the 57 win projection, I would be shocked if the Cardinals would lose 100 games.
I would be too. I don't see it. We talked about it yesterday when we talked about the Pacoda number. It's just the pitching was, I mean, it felt like they were going into games we knew they were going to lose.
Mm-hmm.
And again, they're going to lose games, like they're not going to win the Sonny Gray Mike Maddox game again. That game will not exist this season. But if one or two things pop, whether that's JJ Weatherholt, whether that's both Nolan Gorman and Jordan Walker, whether it's Jordan Walker and Masyn Winn's bat and Victor Scott's bat, like there's just like 2 or 3 things pop this year, the lineup will hit a little bit, and the pitching should not be as up and down and just, you know, the big sides of the graph with terrible starts and some good starts. There's going to be a lot in the middle, and it's going to be, you know, this side's going to be kind of crappy sometimes, and this side's going to be okay, but there's going to be a lot more in the middle, and I think that's going to mean the Cardinals are looking at a 94 loss team.
All right, let's touch on a couple of things. Number one, a week from tomorrow, we're going to be doing the show at the Key, right across the street from the Shapitz Garage before the Billikens play. That is on the 20th, Friday night. So we're looking forward to that. A special pregame show for the Billikens VCU matchup on Friday, February 20th. And a huge win last night, and a fun win for Mizzou down in the second half. They come back and they wind up winning it on an alley-oop with about 20 seconds left, and they win it by 1 over Texas A&M at A&M.
A couple really key points for our show at the Key. So essentially, we're kind of doing an extended pregame show before the VCU game. It's the Billiken Blue Out. It's going to be a big match. Last time I was at the Key 2 hours before game time, The line was out the door for food, so you can get down to the key a couple hours before that even, and we're gonna have a great show. Slew's really being awesome and working with us right now, putting together a nice little guest schedule for our show. Gonna talk a lot of Billikens. It's gonna be a big game. Of course, they are up in Chicago facing off against Loyola. But yeah, to your point, the big thing last night was the Missouri Tigers. That was an absolutely incredible game.
And because of the alley-oop at the end, it was just a great
I just that play was so perfect, and I mean everything about that game was something I've been waiting for this entire Mizzou season. I mean, every time we talk about Mizzou basketball, I've lamented the half-court sets. I mean, and what a perfectly drawn up half court set. They're using Mark Mitchell more. Heck, I think 4 of his assists last night, a career high assist, by the way. I think 4 of his assists last night went to Trent Pierce. I've been knocking down the doors, begging to get more actions where Trent Pierce and Mark Mitchell are at least closer together so that they can affect plays together. And that's exactly what happened last night. But then to draw up that beautiful seal screen, it was kind of like an extended Spain pick and roll where you screen the screener, but that seal screen Trent Pierce sets to set up the alley-oop, and then Mark Mitchell at his size being able to dot and oop like that. That's why I think he could be a second-round pick, because he's got that kind of touch as a passer. That was an incredible play. Finally to see some great half-court offense, finally to see some cohesive offense, and they also set a record for the most points in the paint they've had in an SEC basketball game since they came there over a decade ago. They are absolutely tearing teams apart inside. That's where the game works. T.O. Barrett doesn't shoot three-pointers, and so when he's putting his head down and getting into the paint, you see it kind of snowball. More and more Tigers get into the paint, and then what happens there? Well, the three-point shooting, which has not been talked about much for the last month, you start driving more. Three-point shooting with Trent Pierce and those guys is finally going to come back for this team. Cruz is finally going to be a factor again from deep, I would hope.
And right after the game, Joe Lunardi went on to SportsCenter and said, okay, this puts Mizzou back on the right side of the bubble. They were number 70 before that game, and that win moved them into one of the final 4 teams in, according to bracketology with Joe Lunardi. But they still have to win this weekend, and they still have to handle their business against the unranked teams that they'll play, and probably have to win at least 2 of the 4 against ranked teams.
Okay, so the ranked teams that I think, because so they got Vanderbilt, who's 19th right now, and then they have 2 games against number 21 Arkansas. Right. Am I missing one? Is it just the 3? Okay. Do you think they have to win the away one? If they win 2 of those 3, and it's the home game against Vanderbilt in a week's time, and then it's the home game closer to the end of the season against potentially a still ranked Arkansas, do you think that's enough in addition to not losing any of the unranked or bad games?
Yes.
Okay.
But the key is to not lose the bad to the unranked.
Got to be Texas.
Be surprised.
Got to be Texas at home this week. They're a middling SEC team who's right on in and out of the bubble with Mizzou. You got to beat Texas. To your point, you think they got to take down Vanderbilt at home?
Yeah.
It would. I mean, if they beat Vanderbilt at home, I honestly don't know if they win all the other games. I think they could weather both the losses to Arkansas, depending on how they do in the SEC tournament, and still get an at-large.
Right, and I think if they could win 1 game in the SEC tournament, let's just 17-7 now. Handle Texas, 18-7. Get Vandy 19-7. At Arkansas 19-8. You got to get Tennessee at home.
Yep, you got to win the overwhelming majority of the unranked games.
Right, and then Mississippi State at Mississippi State, you should be able to handle. At OU should be able to handle, and then you get Arkansas for your season finale at home. So yeah, it's very doable.
Yeah, and that's kind of crazy. The fact that we are potentially seeing, obviously, I mean, Illinois is in, Mizzou. Josh Schertz said it yesterday in his availability. If we lose every game from this point, we will not make the tournament. So therefore, we are not. You can't say that we're in. But yeah, they are. Everything staying equal, they will be in. And so yeah, Mizzou has a chance to make it 3 for 3, and that can be a lot of fun. Mainly because first round here in St. Louis, well, we're going to definitely see the Illini. Does somehow one of the other 2 teams get placed in the same regional? I severely doubt it. But you never know. Sometimes the tournament and the committee does stuff they say they aren't going to do.
Yeah, you never know. So there it is. That's the Randy Karraker Show here on STL Sports Central. Matthew Rocchio is always doing great work. This is the time where you should be playing your best basketball, says Uncle Sam. Absolutely it is.
And this is the time where you should be winning prizes, ladies and gentlemen. Cardinals, Blues, and Mizzou's tickets. Email us at STLSC Giveaway, a screenshot of you being subscribed to the YouTube, and it's easy. Like, share, and subscribe right now. And then you have 3 ways to enter. You can repost a story on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. Tag a friend in that story as well. We have that information. Email us the screenshot that you're subscribed to the YouTube. Just like that, you can enter 3 different ways to win Cardinals, Blues, and Mizzou tickets. And the big ticket for me is going to be these autographed merchandise, courtesy of our friend at Joe Yancey and Fanfare Collectibles. Everyone loves decking out the office, the man cave, the bedroom, the living room in some cool autographed St. Louis gear. And so here's a great way to do it.
All right. Thanks for being with us. Thanks to Wilson for getting us on the air here at STL Sports Central. Don't forget, Bernie and I drop tomorrow morning. And y'all have a great weekend, and we will see you later on STL Sports Central. Don't forget, after every game, Billikens tomorrow, Mizzou on Saturday. After every St. Louis game, we're going to have post-game for you. So keep coming back and make sure that you subscribe and you get the notifications to join us at STL Sports Central. See you later.